and research and data analysis. The mission of the practice is to utilize research for access and improving the health status and quality of life of all mankind. She has co-authored and published papers on public health, and her particular research interests include rural health, chronic disease, and community health. Along with these impressive professional accomplishments, LaTonya is an outstanding mother and member of our Conway community. She inspires her friends and colleagues on a daily basis and encourages us all to strive to strive to reach higher. LaTonya has taken time out of her busy schedule to come and encourage all of us today. So let's give her a warm welcome as she shares from S.P.A.N.I.S.H to SAS software programming, the LaTonya Bynum Bear Proud story. Thank you.
You guys look really good, by the way. How's everybody feeling? You're just trying to get your college credits, aren't you? You guys look good. So do we have any Spanish 1 students? Where you at? Okay. And then Spanish 2? And then who's about to graduate? Okay. You hang in there. So, like Dr. Perry said, my name is LaTonya Bynum. It's such a pleasure to be here. This is my second time here. I think last time I came, it's a totally different audience, but we still had a lot of fun. This is totally relaxed. I just want to share some of my stories, my pain, my failure at UCA, then my bounce back, come back, and just inspire you guys to really think about using your Spanish in your career. Just going back to my high school days. So how many of you had to choose between French and Spanish in high school? And yeah, okay, come on in. So you chose Spanish, and then you got up so far and you were like, I really like this. So when I go to college, I'm going to do something in Spanish, or I'm a minor in it, or I'm just going to take it for an elective. So how many of you are like that? Okay, so I'm in the right room. So I'm going to use acronym, and I want you to pay close attention because there might be a pop quiz at the end, and you might get bonus points for it. But the S in Spanish for me is story. And like Dr. Perry said, my story is one from, I come from Hot Springs, Arkansas. How many of you are from Hot Springs? Okay, I got some Hot Springs people over here. So I have my mom and dad from Hot Springs over here. Okay. All right. And then I got my friend Miss Kayla from Pine Bluff visiting me. But when I was in Hot Springs, I always thought, like, I want to stand out. Like, my mama told me, you're going to have to get a job, Tonya, to pay for all that stuff you want, so you're going to have to go to college. So when I came to college, I had taken Spanish 1, 2, and 3 in high school, and so I clipped out of Spanish 1. I took some tests in the lab, and they were like, okay, you can go straight to Spanish 2. Okay, you're still doing that? Okay. So just keep in mind that you can clip out if you didn't take that test. You probably need to talk to her. Raise your hand. Oh, okay. So some of you have clipped out. So once you clip out, you're like, oh, okay, so now I'm in there. So when I was in Spanish, I was like, oh, my God, eventually I want to travel. And then I got to taking my classes. I got sidetracked, the parties. I was just having fun at UCA, and my grade point dropped dramatically. I was down to like a 2.0. How many of you are thinking about academic probation? None of you. Good. So don't think about academic probation, because I actually was on it. And the way I came back was I had to take a lot of electives, and Spanish helped me to just stay steady at UCA. So while I was in my probation period, I really thought about my life. You know, do I really want to do college? And I got serious. Then I came up with a plan. And I was like, you know what? I'm the first in my family to actually go to college. This is an opportunity. I need to, get it together and get my mind straight. So I got my things together, and I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And so my bachelor's degree was in health science. How many of you have run across the Doing Health Science building over there? Dr. Fox and everybody? Doing Health Science? So that was going to be my bachelor's degree, and I said, I need something to make me stand out, because everybody's going to have these degrees, but what's going to make me stand out? So when I left, finally I got my stuff together, got my GPA up, and I graduated from UCA. Everybody give me a hand clap. So in 2004, I graduated. I was so happy, but I still couldn't find a job. Wouldn't nobody hire me. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to pay these student loans back. And so luckily, I found a job at the health department in Little Rock. And so at the health department, they hired me just, and the hiring hiring official, Ed Carson, he said, we hired you just because you had Spanish skills. I was like, then what are you going to do with that at the health department? Because I couldn't, like, speak like all of you, like, fluently, like, just, I could talk to customers. I could, like, basically have conversations, but I wasn't going to just travel by myself using Spanish, right? So he said, we hired you because your brain works in a way where it easily translates information, and we know that you'll be really good at this SAS software programming language. So they gave me my first job right out of college, starting as a secretary just to test me out, and I quickly moved into doing SAS programming. Now, how many of you have heard of SAS programming? Nobody. Okay, good. So you've heard of STEM careers, right? So STEM careers are all about science, technology, engineering, and math. So my job was specifically focused on looking at health data and taking health data and figuring out what's going on so that they can make programs and policy changes based on the information that we were gathering. So SAS was used to look at the database and figure out what kind of numbers were there, make some calculations. So I got really good at it. And I got so good at it, they gave me a raise. So everybody. So I'm giving you these tips because when when you're in Spanish, you're like, why do I have to do all this homework, these papers, like all this stuff? It's going to work out, y'all. It's going to work out in your favor. So when I was there, I was like, okay, I understand now why he hired me, because I was still trying to figure it out. Like, what am I doing here? So I figured it out. He said, LaTonya, your brain works in a way where you can easily translate information. So what I found out was there were these statisticians, so people who run numbers all day. So they sit behind their desks and like it's just computer, just eyeball the computer, programming, nothing but numbers all day. So they are so focused on their work, they really can't break things down in a simple language, right? So they're called statisticians. And then you have this other group of people called epidemiologists. And it took me a long time to figure out what they were. So everybody say epidemiologists. So what they do is they come up with studies. They write reports. They try to figure out like what's really causing this disease to outbreak. How many of you have heard of cancer clusters? So they see like which areas are having these cancer clusters, how many people in certain areas are affected with diabetes, or how many people are having heart attacks in certain areas of the state. So these two groups alone, they have their own language, and nobody wants to talk to them at the health department. So they sent me in. They were like, LaTonya, you're really good at communicating and learning ways to effectively communicate what's being said to just lay audience people. So I would go in for hours and talk to this guy named J.D. Morgan. And he was so good. He had published so many papers. Like, he's just, like, really good at research. So I would sit in there and listen to him. And for a year, I just trained under him and listened to his stories. And I got really good about what he was saying. And I took his information and started breaking it down into simple terms so the people in the community could write grants. They could come up with programs. They could make changes in their community. They could go and talk to their county officials. And so over time, I would say that by me learning Spanish, it's just a certain way that you communicate and you're able to translate and synthesize information. Your brain, it's just, I don't know what it's called. But you can easily communicate information and relay that on to other people very well. So while I was there, I got really good at it. And the article that's in front of you is my study. Some of you have it. I only printed out 30. I wasn't expecting all of you, so I'm really excited about this large group. But the study basically, come on in. The study basically is telling you some of the numbers that we have in our database and where depression is in Arkansas and how we rank in Arkansas. And so, look at all these students. This is awesome. And so what my study was about was using this database. Wow. Let them come on in. Using this database to capture information to relay on to people who are doing research and others who are doing programming. So that's my story. So the P in Spanish it stands for purpose. Everybody say purpose. Purpose. Okay, so the purpose. Why are you here? It took me a long time to figure out, like, okay, so I'm at UCA, finally a college student. Like, what am I going to do after I graduate? How many of you have, like, a definitive answer for that question? Like, what you're going to do after you graduate? Okay, so you're like me, right? So I quickly figured out it's all about taking so it took me to graduate school to figure this out, so you guys can figure it out now in undergraduate school. Take your homework assignments now and find someone at an organization or at some community facility or volunteer network and ask them, can you work with them to complete your homework assignment? So while you're finishing your homework assignment, you're also building a relationship. So at the end, when you graduate, you have connections out in the community. And that's one of the reasons why it took me so long to get a job, because I didn't know the need for Spanish. I didn't know the real need for my degree. All I knew was I needed to find a job, right? So consider your homework assignments as potential published papers. And I will send this same publication snapshot to Dr. Perry so she can send it out to anyone if you want a copy of it. But I really
bulletin board. We have a bulletin board.
Okay, she'll put it on the bulletin board as well. Mm-hmm. That way she don't get all. I didn't think about that. Multiple emails. Yeah. So the homework assignments. So think of your homework assignments as potential ways to connect to community members, and that'll help you find your purpose. Also awareness. The A in Spanish for me was an awareness about what opportunities are available. So when I was taking Spanish, I was thinking, I'm going to use this to just translate for some people. At the time I was working at Kroger, I would translate for some of the customers, Spanish-speaking customers that come in. So I was thinking of different jobs, different ways that I could use it, because I knew I didn't want to do what Dr. Perry was doing all day, because she had it hard with me. So I didn't want to teach at the college level. I knew I didn't want to do that, but I knew I wanted to do something with helping people and community work. And so there are all kinds of jobs. My background is in health education. So I've worked at the health department for 13 years, and I recently transitioned from the health department, and now work at a company. It used to be the Hewlett-Packard building in Conway, but now it's called DXC Technology. How many of you have heard of DXC Technology? Nobody. So they hire editors like me who also speak Spanish. So some of the things that we do are we listen in to a lot of people who are business analysts, project managers, and we listen in on their needs. And on these calls, we document what they're saying, and we turn what they're saying into user manuals. And so you can use your Spanish-speaking writing skills to come up with user manuals and policies to help the clients to understand how to use the software that we're using at the company. So there are so many ways, and of course, you can translate at different hospitals. There's always a need for that. In a lot of our communities, we don't have interpreters or translators, so there's options for that as well, especially in Little Rock. I'm not sure about Conway opportunities, but so the A in Spanish is for awareness. The N is for need. So where are you needed? Like after you graduate, after you get the degree, after you figure out your life story, then what are you going to do next? So you have this degree. Don't be like LaTonya and take 6 months to find a job just because You just don't know where to connect. Start now connecting. If you do anything for me, just start now. Building relationships with potential employers, putting your skills out there. They might need a volunteer to help translate one of their documents. There's so many things you can do with your skills to be an inspiration for the community and also help out some of these agencies who need your skill set. The I in Spanish stands for inspiration. So, can somebody tell me what was one of your inspirations for taking Spanish? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody would? Okay, go ahead.
In law enforcement, it helps to be bilingual.
That's good. So he said in law enforcement, it helps to be bilingual because you're talking to some of the community people, and maybe some of them speak Spanish, and maybe some of them don't. So you're there to help translate, to bridge the gap between some of the officers and let them know what's going on, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you're right. So did you hear him say that? They also pay you more. So yeah, that's another thing at the company that I work for. If you speak Spanish and you can write fluently in Spanish, you also get a extra bulk of money. So that is, that's an added bonus. But you have to go where you're needed. That's the thing. You have to go where you're needed, and you also have to figure out where you're needed. So the inspiration could be money. The inspiration could be making a difference. And then also the inspiration could be for traveling. How many of you just plan to learn how to speak in Spanish just so you can travel? You want to go some places, do some things in different countries, and kind of know the lay of the land by taking some of the cultural classes, understanding what's going on. So it's all about your inspiration of why you're doing it, and that's going to help you get through it. I didn't minor fully. I have an emphasis in Spanish. I didn't complete all of the classes to minor in it, but just with a couple of classes, I think I went all the way up to the cultural, what is it, Dr. Cultural?
Civilization class?
Yes, I got there and then I stopped because I was like, I'm going to risk my GPA dropping back down if I go any further. So I just got out and got but it still worked out for me. So seeing as though I didn't fully minor in it, and I do have some background in Spanish, I still got a job. So these skills are very important. The S in Spanish for me was skills. Everybody say skills.
Skills.
So I didn't find this out until last year. So I've been working at the health department for 13 years. I was like, it's time to do something different. Like, I'm just like, you get burnt out doing the same thing all the time. I was like, I want to change. This lady, I put my resume on Indeed. This lady called me and she was like, oh my God, we need you here. We want you to be an editor. And I was like, I'm a program analyst. Like, I do SAS programming software. How does that translate? So everybody say transferable skills.
Transferable skills.
So she said, LaTonya, because you're good at writing, speaking, and then also research, those skills are transferable, and we need you to take those skills and come over here and edit our documents. And I was like, so how much you talking about? And she was like, an extra $5. And I was like, okay, when? Sign me up. So think about ways that you can use your skills that you're building now. I don't know, some of you might be like me. I was working and going to school at the same time. So just using those skills, and maybe customer service, public relations, community networking, all of those skills are very valuable when you transition and take a new role. So skills are very important. And last but not least, the H in Spanish stands for help. Everybody say help.
Help.
So you have to figure out. Okay, so I'm on LinkedIn, and a lot of students contact me, and they're like, "Help me, I need a job." And I'm like, "Okay, so who are you? First of all, like, what have you done, and what are you trying to do?" So a lot of us, and I think I used to be the same way. I want everybody to help me, but I think the best way, the students that I help the most, let me just say it this way, the students that I help the most are the ones that have actually looked at my profile, seen the things that I've done, and they've connected with something that I've done, and they ask more specific questions like, how did you get into doing SAS programming? Like, what did you have to do? Like, did you have to go to school for that, or did you take a training or something? So they have more in-depth questions rather than just help me. So as a student, I wanted to caution you guys, people want to help you, but they need some sort of background on, like, what are you trying to do with your Spanish skills? Like, who are you, first of all? Like, what's your story? What inspires you? Like, how can we work together? What do you see that I'm doing that you like, that you want to do? You know, so be more comfortable in your story and knowing what you want. And I think people will be more willing to help you catapult your career. So Spanish, know your story. The P is for know your purpose. Have a sense of an awareness. The A, N is for need. The I is for inspiration. S is for skills. And the H is for help. So I gave it to you. So there's not going to be a pop quiz. So I told the story. So what we want to do now is, how much time do we have, Dr. Barrett?
15 minutes.
About 15 minutes. So what I want to do now is just open it up, because I know I've been doing a lot of talking. Y'all see me up here. I'm sweating. I'm hot. So I want to switch gears, and I want you guys to tell me what's on your mind as far as, like, do you have any questions about health-related careers, ECM, jobs at DXC Technology? Have you even heard of that? Any other questions you might have about my research?
Grant writing.
Grant writing.
What do y'all look for when you hire people for that?
So when I started the health department, I had taken Dr. Fox's health administration course, and we wrote like a sample grant. And so that was my grant writing experience, just playing around with that template. But she also connected us with the agency as a part of the assignment to make sure that we get some on-the-job experience. But for grant writing, like, if you want any job in public health, working at the health department or any health career, if you understand grant writing, because 90% of all health programs are grant funded. So if you know how to write grants, then you got a job. So grant writing, if I would have known this then, I probably would have I'd have been better. But atrain.org. It is a great website for people to learn, and it's free. You know, it's for public health professionals and lay people to understand how to write grants. Like, what's the basis of a proposal? How do you write those logic models? Like, all of those details are in there. So go into train. It's not in Arkansas. It's called A-Train, but if you want, you go somewhere else, it's train.org. But go to that website, register, and sign up for a grant writing class. And then once you complete it, it probably takes like 6 hours or so. So you just have to space out your time. But you get a certificate. And once you get that certificate, once you put that in your career portfolio. So when you're applying for jobs, you say, hey, look at here. See the certificate right here? I can write grants for you. And that will get you more money along with your Spanish skills. So good question. It's free. Train.org, atrain.org for Arkansans. Any other questions? I don't want to bore you guys. So how many of you want to make a lot of money? Okay. How many of you have thought about using your Spanish skills to start a business? Nobody. So let me tell you what else you can do. Because, I had to get creative. I had 3 kids. I'm like, what, I got to make some extra side income. So how many of you have heard of, like, everybody talk about residual income? You want to do extra stuff to make money. So how about you think of yourself as a consultant? So you go into school for a reason now. So go with me on this. So you go into school with a purpose, and your purpose is to pick up these Spanish skills because a lot of people don't understand certain information. So you go out and you take a grant writing class, and then you start teaching your grant writing class in Spanish because there's a need for it, right? Because you want to give a certain group of people access to the skill that you have. And so I have started my business because there's so many needs for services, not just in Spanish, but just in general, health resources. So think of yourself as a consultant as you are, even though you are a student, but think of yourself as a consultant, because when you come out of here, you have to have that mindset of connecting with what's needed in the local industry and how can I help them with the skills that I have. Bless you. It's a good question. But yeah, I know y'all want to make some money. Make some money. Make Dr. Perry proud.
I'm proud of you to say no.
Yeah, but still, you know, make money to take care of yourself, and then also make a difference at the same time. Any other questions? Anything else on your mind that you like to talk about? And don't let me bore you, because I can go all day. So how many of you are the first in your immediate family to be here at UCA? Okay, you got some first timers. So when I stepped on campus, I was lost. Like, it was so much space here. I stayed over in Carmichael Hall. They still got Carmichael Hall? Yeah, so I stayed in Carmichael Hall, and that was like the go-to dorm. I don't know what where everybody's trying to get into now. But Carmichael was the spot back then. But when I got here, I was just so lost. And Dr. Perry, she more or less took me under her wing. I guess she looked at me and was like, LaTonya, you look lost. You know, like, let me help you. But she guided me. She was like, LaTonya, like, get it together. Like, your grades, come on. Wake up. So connect with these professors and find out what their need, like, research-wise. Are they working on a study? What are some of their goals? Are they going to a study abroad? Or, like, can you get on a free scholarship or something? Like, connect with her, because she has some resources, but she has to know you're a go-getter student, first and foremost. So I'm thankful for Dr. Perry and what she's done for me over the years. Yes.
In your experience, have you, the speaking or the writing has been more, I guess, useful? Because I took Spanish because I don't know how to write very well, like the grammar part of it, but what you review?
So, okay, so my before, I have to admit, when I was at the health department, part of my job was going in front of people and talking, and I would get so nervous, like, I would be like, oh my God, I want to call in sick. I just hated it. Like, I just didn't want to do it. But I took this class through an organization called Toastmasters International. How many of you have heard of Toastmasters International? Toastmasters International helped me to become a better writer, better speaker, a better listener. And I would say that the two most important skills, if you could come out of college with, are communication and leadership. So Spanish is communication, right? So if you can communicate and talk to people, and you can lead them where they're trying to go and help them, you're better off. And I think my writing skills picked up from me reading so much. So I read things that I love to read, but for the good writers, I would just read all of their materials, and I more or less picked up on their style of writing and put my own little swing on it. And that's how I picked up on my writing skills. And so over time, I've learned from different researchers how they write, how they send in some of their scientific manuscripts, and I more or less copied what they've done and put my own spin on it with the interests and passions that I have. So writing and communication goes hand in hand, but I would say if you practice it more, do it more, just find people to connect with who are doing it well, I think you will be better off. Does that help a little bit? Not really?
No, it does.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? No.
Some things we have that we didn't have when you were a student that kind of connected what you're saying. We have internships and we have service learning classes, and those are the kinds of things that help them make those community connections you're talking about, connecting with people outside the class and looking to apply what you're learning and transferring one kind of skills to another kind of job. So
there's you some resources. So internships. So what do they have to do to get connected to the internships?
I think we have a program in our department. We kind of have a list of people who are interested, and
So
that they can
sign
come
up.
talk to any of us about that if they're interested in doing that. And then we have a couple of classes that are designated service learning. They can do one next semester where they're getting to teach at the elementary school. Little kids in
Yes.
Oh, you know the elementary
Yes,
school.
yeah.
You happen to be a member of that elementary school.
Yes. You come to my son's school, Julia Lee
Yes,
Moore.
that's right.
Uh-huh.
And so in the spring, the students go and they teach those classes. And there's some other service learning classes that we have too. So that's another opportunity that UCA has created that we didn't have when we were a student.
That's
that allows
good.
them to do that. So
And
it's
you also
pretty
have the lab. I used to sit in the lab
Yes.
and listen to cassette tapes. I don't know if y'all have like CDs or
No, not even that. You
Oh.
wouldn't even believe it. It would blow your mind.
really okay.
Yeah.
So I used to sit in there and just listen and write. Like I'd listen and write it out, listen and write it out, and that's how I
You
get
guys
really
tell her
good.
what you do to learn Spanish now. Where is it on a CD?
What do you do now? Oh, it's online. You just click a button and it's just like somebody talks, or
Yes.
yeah, webinar, course, podcast. Y'all, we got that far.
Some of them are even having live conversations with native speakers
See, yeah, y'all did us wrong.
online.
And I spent all my money here at UCA.
On the tapes.
Yeah, on those tapes, because we had to buy them. They came in like a plastic bundle. I still got some of them, by the way. So, yeah, so Spanish has really helped my career. I think had I not had Spanish, I probably wouldn't have landed my first job at the health department. I'm grateful for what my supervisor did by hiring me and working me through. But SAS programming, like SAS programmers, they are paid at least 100 to 80 to 100, if not more, if you just simply focus on it. I didn't do it all day, so I didn't just like do SAS programming all day. But think about SAS programming, because your brain you can translate Spanish, you can understand a programming language. So I want y'all to get some of these good quality jobs so y'all can send some donations back to UCA.
Indeed.
Uh-huh. So,
Any questions? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, any other questions? Yeah, so thank you all for your time, and I want to thank my parents for coming, and Miss Taylor from Honduras. Thank you.
If you all want to have a personal word, come on down and speak here. If